Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Joining us today, as always, is my counterpart, Veronica Boudreau. Today, we're going to be diving into ISI Analytics Dashboard. Now, before we get started, I wanted to note that this dashboard is in our new application and is still technically in beta. So keep in mind that while what you'll see today is still a work in progress. Also, I wanted to clarify up front that this is not the same thing as our Q dashboards. Those are a separate set of tools. What we'll be looking at today are the standard data dashboards available right on the main page of the ISI Analytics application. Even though the feature is still evolving, I still think you'll find there's a lot of value in exploring how it can support some of your day-to-day uses. This session will also likely be a short one, just because it is still in beta, which means we should have plenty of time for any questions you might have for me afterwards. Now, as always, there's going to be time for Q&A following the presentation, where you can ask questions regarding today's topics or our application in general. So let's just do some quick webinar housekeepings as I do every week. The chat section is disabled, so just utilize the Q&A section instead. My partner, Veronica, will be monitoring that section, and she'll bring up anything in the moment that may need to be asked in that moment. So she can interrupt me and say, hey, here's a question that came up. Secondly, once the presentation is over, you'll have the ability to unmute yourself, but we ask that you utilize the hand raise function so we can call upon people in the order that was received. And then lastly, I'll keep the recording going during the Q&A, but keep in mind that I'm only doing so to kind of be able to record the questions so that I can go back to them in the future. But none of that will actually be in the video, so don't worry about that. I cut all that out once my presentation is over. Okay. So as always, thank you so much for being here, and let's go ahead and get started. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go to my browser, and I've already logged into our analytics, the app.isianalytics.com URL to log in, which is where the majority of you go to now, because that's where the newest, latest and greatest login tools bring you. Before I dive into the dashboard, just as a reminder, because I think of this all the time, if you are still used to using Classic or you primarily are in Classic and you want to kind of default that, you always have the option here in the upper right hand corner to select your little icon here, and you can set the default dashboard type. So if you're like, I don't want it to be the standard dashboard, I'd like it to be the classic dashboard, you can do so. Or if you're heavily using queues and you would like it just to go into your queue environment, if you have that, you can also do that as well. Okay, so keep in mind, you can set where you want your default dashboard to land when you log in. Okay. And then something I rarely ever talk about, but I utilize a lot, and I'm sure customers would as well. Same icon up here in the upper right-hand corner. You do have the option to switch to dark mode. This is only available in the newest application. Classic does not have dark mode. I wish it did. But for this session, I think today, we're going to go ahead and keep it to dark mode. So as I stated earlier, you land in the dashboard. Now, if you expand using the hamburger, love that this icon is called a hamburger. I mean, it makes sense, but it's just funny. You see that there's the My Dashboards, and it is tagged as beta. And you have one dashboard that is available to you, and it's main. And that's for everyone. Right now with the beta, you only have the ability to have the one dashboard called main. Everyone has main. And like all the other dashboards, or like on classic dashboards, this dashboard is unique to your login. Nobody else can mess with it. Nobody else can change it. And nobody else can see what you're doing. This dashboard lives just for you. Okay. And as you can see here, I have a couple of dashboards or widgets already added to those dashboards. We have activity by call direction. We have call handling, top organizations by count, activity by call type, and then a long duration calls widget. Those are the current 5 available widgets that are available for these dashboards. Okay. So let's go into some of the things. I mean, like some of the things that so I talked about earlier that like you find some functionality, when working with a lot of you, a lot of times, you ask me questions about your data, or there's things that you might want to see. And for a lot of your sites, I have logins for myself and I go in and check things. One of the things I like to do specifically to make sure that like things are looking smoothly is I like looking at your different data sources across the board. Now, for some of you, you have a lot of data sources. Some of the customers have over, 20, 30 different data sources they might be monitoring for their site. And it's important to be able to look at that. Now, one of the limitations in the classic dashboard is that you can only see 10 widgets at a time. The dashboards limit you to 10 widgets. The new dashboard does not. And so a lot of the times I will create a widget based on every single data source in individual views, because you can add as many as you want. So if I wanted to add another activity by call direction, it'll put it here at the bottom. We can go ahead and drag that up, put it up here at the top, expand this out, and then we can start building a widget that shows each data source, which I'm going to do here in a moment. But before I do that, let's talk about some of the icons, some of the things you can do on the widget, just on the base level of things. First, you do have the ability to expand widgets out, which is much different than the other dashboard with the classic dashboard, because with that, you had to set it as percentage. Here, you can just click and drag and drop where you want. You also have the ability to drag and center it if you didn't want it. It's always in the classic dashboard will auto like populate to the upper left hand corner, would never let you center that. So I'm going to put that back real quick. Just put this back to the way it was. Perfect. Okay. And then you have these icons here, the refresh icons. So if you want to refresh the data, you have some funnels and a calendar icon. Notice that when I hover over those, they say quick filters and quick date time filters. We'll discuss what that means when they mean by quick here in a moment. But what I really want to bring in is the edit widget feature. This particular icon will allow you to decide what it is that you want to see on this widget. And like I said, still beta, and I'll talk about some of the things that you're going to be able to do. The first thing that I'm actually going to start with is the configure filters. Configure filters is where you're going to say what it is that you want to see on the widget. Now we are limited. We have, I think, all of 5 filters. Let's go ahead and add those in now. And what you're going to see here is we have a call direction. For this particular filter, it's call direction. So you can say inbound, outbound, internal, and trunk to trunk. So if you did not want to see a specific direction, say trunk to trunk, and remove that from the widget, you just click the X. If you want to bring it back, just click in the box here, and it would show you, and it would be uncheck marked, or it's uncolored or unhighlighted. And I'm just going to leave that off for now. Data sources. This is where I typically set up if I'm trying to do a data source widget. Right now, it's just the default is to use all of them. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on the pencil icon and say, I just want to see Cisco cluster 1. And so I'm going to come down here and I'm going to uncheck mark all the other data sources added to this site and just leave it as Cisco cluster 1. Extension location. Yeah, this one's a unique one, and it only depends on if your system is using any kind of extension locations. If it's not, this likely is not going to be one that you'll use. But like I said, if you're a site that heavily uses extension location and has configured and set these up, then you can come in here and say, I want to look at it at a specific data source on a specific extension location list, and then select that, and that's what the widget will show you. Since we are not, let's go ahead and move forward. They always will have like defaults in there if they are not configured manually. Call disposition, inbound answered, not just inbound answered versus inbound abandoned, outbound and internal. And then the last one is your directory filter. The default also is to do the entire organization. Now, directory is utilizing if we are doing any kind of a directory import into your system. So people's locations, people's names and extensions and emails and all that. If we're doing any kind of import into your product, into your tenant, then this is where we could filter on that information. So for example, if I wanted to limit on the ABC company within the business unit, I could do so and just check mark that, which would include all the departments below, which would be, Broomfield, Buckhead, Charlotte, Dublin, and so forth, okay? But for now, I'm just gonna do the entire organization by check marking that. And then with this change of, at this point, just being the Cisco cluster number 1, and saving, you'll see that this widget will think on that for a moment and then adjust the widget accordingly. Okay. So now that we've made that change, and I'm specifically watching cluster one, I kind of want it to, I want to be able to know that. So what we're going to do is we're going to come to the three dots, click on display options, and from here, I can label it. So a lot of times I'll just wipe this out and just say Cisco cluster number one. And you do have the ability to change the graphing style here. So if you wanted a stack or line chart instead of a stacked bar chart, if you wanted to change the time zone that this widget is in, you could do so and it will do it. So now I think stacked bar looks better than the line chart, but so I'll change it back. Okay. So that's how you configure your filter. Let's go ahead and talk about configure date and time. The other thing that is different between classic dashboard is that it limits you to 31 days worth of data. Right now, with the beta, we've limited it to 63. So we get a little bit of double of what we were looking at before. And we kind of hope to go further than that down the road. But right now it's 63. But it's nice to be able to see 2 months worth of data for a specific data source. And you can kind of see any patterns or any irregularities. So if you're noticing that you're having a spike in inbound calls on a specific day, that might indicate you had some kind of, event. Now, whether that's, whether that's a, I always forget the term for this, but like almost like a phone attack or like somebody, like spam is calling in or that kind of stuff. It's something for you to look into. Or it could be something similar like, oh yeah, this department actually had like a massive program that we had set up for the first, and they're all calling in to get into that program. So that would make sense. So now that we've shown you how to change the filters, now that we've shown you how to configure the date and time, and we've discussed display options. Clearly, I mean, delete widget is pretty self-explanatory. You could delete the widget off of your dashboard. Let's talk about the quick filters. Quick filters are an easy and fast way to make any changes to the widget without making any permanent changes. So to give an example, if I click on quick filter, right now it is just a Cisco cluster. If I went in here and decided I wanted to see both Cisco 1 and 2 together in one view, it would refresh itself. It would add both clusters back in. So it would go from like, I don't know, 12,000 calls, and then it added in the other queue. So now we're up to almost 17 or over 15, depending on the day. And now you're seeing both. Now, keep in mind, these are quick filters. So anytime you leave and go to another dashboard, or sorry, another module, or you log out, or you even refresh the page. So if I were to refresh this, it goes back to being just the one cluster. So we're back down to, say 12 or 13, depending on the day for the Cisco cluster one. Okay. You can also quick filter the time. So if you'd like to just see 14 days instead of the full 63, you can tell it to do so. It will refresh itself here momentarily and show you just the 7 days. And then if you refresh it, it will bring it back to the full 63 days. Okay. One more thing that these widgets will allow you to do, and you'll see it kind of with the hovering of the the hand icon, is that I actually can drill into this information. For now, it will drill into an hour view. So if I were to drill into, like, say, last Monday or this Monday's calls, it would actually go into the calls and then it would show me an hourly view of those calls. So we can see the majority of them start at like about 4 a.m. and then kind of ramp up at 7 a.m. 8 a.m. is the highest peak, and then it kind of starts to ramp down for almost a 5 and then nothing for the rest of the evening. Okay. And to go, and unfortunately you cannot drill any further. It's not, you don't have the ability to go into, say, like a detail view yet, hopefully in the future. But for now, we can click on the X, return it back to our view, refresh it, and bring it back to the 63-day view. Okay. Now, when it comes to the other widgets that you're able to add in, like I said, I had the Cisco cluster one. If I wanted to configure this one real fast to be specifically just Cisco cluster 2, So we'll keep that one check marked and we'll save. We're going to go ahead and change the date and time to 63 days. And you can change this to be hours or current months as well. So it does let you do a month view, and I can show you that in a minute. So now we'll let this refresh, and you can kind of see this one. You can see this one only has about, I don't know, say like 3K calls a day, depending. And then if I wanted to add another activity by call direction, because I wanted to see it by the month, so we're going to grab this, bring it up here, put it next, let's put it below its other one, and let's go ahead and edit this, configure date and time. Let's see, current month, and oh, I guess you can only do current month. So let's go ahead and save. Actually, no, months. There we go. And it will adjust itself and show you the graph in months. So you can kind of see July had a heavier, well, I guess August isn't done yet, but you know, July and August. We have a call handling widget as well. This one is specifically going to show you, and again, you have the filters. So right now it's going to look at all the data sources, and it's got a date time selector, so we could change to a different date if we want to see those adjusted, you know, and see that information. It does break it down by the hour. Top organizations by count. This is also dependent on your directory. So right now it's graphing out the different departments who takes the most calls. Looks like right now it is including the unassigned departments. So if you have a lot of calls that aren't tagged in the directory and you take a lot of those calls, it will give you a larger chunk there. But you can see the ABC company takes about 17% of your calls, the 16% of the calls, 8% of the calls, depending on the department. Okay. And then activity by call type is actually very similar to the call direction. It's just giving you call type specifically. So instead of just inbound or outbound, it does break the, break the outbound out by like toll free, international, long distance, and so forth. And then lastly, we do have our long duration call widget. And that one specifically is going to give you the individuals, their extension, the time, the duration of the call, what phone number. In this situation, it was a meeting and it was internal. So, okay. All right. That that covers the dashboards that we've released for ISI Analytics. I like to bring it up, and the reason I brought it up for this particular session is that they don't get enough love, for sure. And I'm waiting for the day for them to continue the work because they are still working on these. Right now, like I said, Q dashboards is their main priority, so that's where a lot of the attention is going. But there is still a lot of value in these dashboards. Like I said, I've set up for many of you every single data source in your system so that I can see them on the fly. So if you're like, hey, I'm noticing that, you know, this report doesn't have as many call records, or maybe we're getting a lot of call records, you know, then you can look at the widgets and say, yeah, you've had a lot of data. Or hey, you know, like we've seen, you know, something like, you know, with there being less data, is there, you know, is your system, you know, is there something going on with the system? So